Tony Romo mentioned on the broadcast that if Pat Mahomes retired after this season, he would be a Hall of Famer. He got a little bit of pushback from, people on Twitter and whatnot, but I think there is a case to be made about Pat Mahomes and his sheer dominance, not just this year, but in perspective to, people around him and his skill level. I've said multiple times on this very show that Pat Mahomes is by far the most skilled quarterback I've ever seen. No one has his ability to analyze defenses, to throw the ball from every single angle, to deliver the ball with the velocity that he can, to throw the ball as far as he can, to, run the ball if he needs to and run and make plays. It's unmatched if you look at it. Even Aaron Rodgers, who, before I thought he was the most skilled guy to ever come out, and he's still like at his same level of skill, I think, that he was in his prime. But Mahomes is just a totally different animal. So, that begs the question, Andrew, if Pat Mahomes, do you think that Pat Mahomes, one, is he the most skilled player to ever play the quarterback position? And two, do you think he ends up being the best to ever do it when it's all said and done?
Skilled. I think he's very gifted. I think he has a lot. Very strong arm. He can get outside the pocket. He can, run it if he has to. He can do all that stuff. He can throw it on the run. He's a very good. He's an elite quarterback. Probably one of the best in the game today. The second question though, he's gotta do a little bit more before, because the guy he's gonna be playing against, not this Sunday but the Sunday after on Super Bowl Sunday, that dude is playing in his 10th Super Bowl. And he's won how many already? And let's be honest, if that man, Mr. Brady, wins another one against Mahomes, it does change this argument a little bit, doesn't it? It was like not only could he not remember, because they faced off in that AFC Championship game a couple of years ago, when a very controversial ending to that game. But if Tom goes in there at 43 and he beats young Mahomes and young Mahomes' prime, it's like, you got to beg the question. Like, then you have to start asking, what does Mahomes do throughout his career to catch that? Like, does Mahomes essentially
make the Super Bowl every year would be nice. I think he's on track to do it.
He's got to make it every damn year, and he's pretty much got to win it every damn year. Now that's if he that's if he loses. Not this Sunday, the Sunday after. That's if he loses. If he wins, though, I still think he's got to make more Super Bowls. Obviously, Tom's won how many MVPs? I
think Pat Mahomes. I think he'll have the MVP comparison on lock as far as that goes. I think he'll be fine in that category.
At that point, it just becomes success in the playoffs. At that point, it just becomes. Remember, Mahomes is in his 4th year already. It's just going to become success in the playoffs at that point. You just gotta at the end put his stats next to Tom's stats, like wins in the playoffs, yards, all that stuff. And that's the only way, I think, because right now, in order to be considered the greatest to ever do it, Tom is the greatest to ever do it. It's without a doubt.
Right.
I mean, this dude, he's the greatest to ever do it. The fact that he took Tampa Bay, this team didn't make the playoffs last year. They're in the Super Bowl this year. I mean, enough is that's all you got to know. Mahomes has to make the playoffs every damn year. He's got to win 7 Super Bowls and just dominate for an extended, like a long period of time, the way Tom has done it. And Mahomes has done so far. He's dominated, but it'll be interesting to see, because don't forget, I don't think they're going to have to start making decisions on some of these players that they got. Don't forget, either Tyreek Hill doesn't finish his career in Kansas City, either Kelsey doesn't finish his career in Kansas City. They got Hardman, they got Watkins. One of those guys is not finishing their career in Kansas City. So they're going to have to replace some of those dudes, and we're going to see what happens when he does replace those dudes. Or if the game shifts and people figure out, guys start catching on to Andy Reid, and if guys start figuring out Mahomes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ifs. To answer the question, though, he's got to make the playoffs every year, and he's got to have the dominance for an extended, a long period of time, the way Tom has had it, where it's either AFC Championship or Super Bowl
every year, every other year like that, but playoffs every damn year.
I think Mahomes definitely has the talent to do it. I think regardless if he has Tyreek Hill to throw the ball to, or Nicole Hardman or whoever, I think he's gonna be doing it. And the only thing I will say is I think Mahomes will have an edge as far as, even if he doesn't win 6 Super Bowls like Brady. Let's say he wins like 4, right? If, like you said, he makes the playoffs like almost every single year and wins 4 Super Bowls, I think by the time it's said and done, Mahomes, if he plays if he plays a long career, he'll have every record in the book. He'll have and we'll have seen some of the greatest moments in the history of football because of Pat Mahomes, because he's already given us so many great moments. And I think that he's that type of player. He's literally, I think he's going to be the player to define this entire generation. And much like Tom Brady was in the previous generation, much like, I think you want to say like John Elway was before that, Joe Montana, Johnny Unitas before that, I think Pat Mahomes is that guy. And it's based sheerly off of his ability to throw the football. He literally, I've been burned so many times as a Ravens fan of him just throwing no-look touchdowns like 40 yards downfield while he's getting chased to his left. The dude is insane, okay? I think that if that talent, if nothing happens to hinder that talent and that ability, I think that ability alone will, one, get him into the Hall of Fame, and two, if he wins like 4 Super Bowls, I think that's going to make up a lot of the gap between him and Brady, because the thing about Brady is, while we all accept that he's great, I think that the knock on him has always been, he's obviously a great player and he has great skill, but he doesn't have Pat Mahomes level of skill. Let's be honest. He's old, and usually on a lot of his runs, he was surrounded by a lot very good teammates, very good defense early on, especially because a lot of that was on the defense. A lot of that was on some of the receivers they had, and Corey Dillon as well. So I think that there is a case to be made that Pat Mahomes, just based off of sheer talent, could make up a little bit of that gap. Now, that being said, I do think Pat Mahomes ends up winning like 6 Super Bowls. I genuinely believe that. I think the Chiefs, the way they're built, like for the next at least 3-4 years, I think they're going to go on a run that it's going to be like literally unparalleled. I think they're going to run through the entire NFL for the next few years. And as a Ravens fan, it scares me to say that, but they don't figure out a way, like you said, to figure out Andy Reid's offense, which is hard enough to do, I think that the Chiefs' success is sustainable because unlike a Lamar Jackson, right? In Lamar Jackson's case, you figure out the running game, it's over. You stop the running game, the game's over at this point. With the Tennessee Titans, you shut down Derrick Henry, it's really hard for the Titans to win the game past the ball. You know that. You can say that about a lot of the other teams in the AFC. AFC, they shut down the passing game for the Bills. It's done, right? But the thing is how. And I'm not sure that teams have gotten anywhere close to actually figuring out how to shut that team down, because they only lost 1 game this year, and it was to Oakland. They ended up getting that win back, and that was a close game anyway. So I'm not sure that they can that it's like that easy to figure out that Andy Reid offense. So
I just think just based off of what I've seen, and even Tony Romo, I think Tony was it Romo? Who was was it Romo and Jim Nantz were the commentators of the AFC Championship game, right? I think I'm drawing a blank. I think Romo he alluded to this, and I alluded to this last year, because I hated watching us in the AFC Championship game last year just get torched by Mahomes, but you can't drop back in zone. You can't drop back in zone against them just because they have too many weapons. You almost gotta play the man, and you gotta put hands on them from the line of scrimmage, and you have to get at Mahomes. It's one of those things where to stop them, you just gotta have studs. You just gotta have studs at everywhere on the defensive side of the ball, and you gotta get at Mahomes. That's why I think the Super Bowl is going to be interesting, because they do got some studs. They have a lot of studs on the defensive side of the football. Like, I know a lot of people are like, Brady turned this team around. Brady turned on Tampa Bay. Don't get me wrong. Brady did go in there and change the culture, and he definitely, definitely elevated a lot of those guys, not just on the offense, but on the defense too. You know, they get those extra reps in practice going up against Brady, one of the best to ever do it. But those guys are not exactly scrubs down there. Like
Right.
Murphy Bunting and Ndamukong Suh, Devin White, those guys are not, they are not scrubs in the slightest. So that's what it takes, though. I think that's what it's going to take, honestly, to slow down Kansas City in the years coming up. Is you got to have a pass rush, and you just got to have dudes that can line up with every. You got to have a dude that can line up at the line with Hill, a dude that can line up in front of Kelsey, a dude that can line up, and you got to have dudes in your secondary that can. If one of your dudes gets beat, you got to have ball hawks back there who's like, I got you. So we'll see.
So what you're saying is you need the best players at every single position on defense to beat Pat Mahomes. I mean,
Not the best, but borderline. You got to have damn near. I want it. You got to have about at least 3 or 4 all pros on the defensive side of the ball to even have a chance.
I think it's also worth mentioning Mahomes is, one bad penalty away from them making 3 straight Super Bowls. So, I think he's had one of the best starts to a career since Tom Brady, and that's without question. You could argue his actual start is probably better than Brady's because first season the dude throws 51 touchdowns. Like that doesn't just happen, for any first year starter. That's immaculate type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We'll do a Super Bowl preview going into the Super Bowl week. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.